a.m. on a Friday. You know that means it's time for Bridging Civil Tension with your hosts, Phil Wallace and Kent Jones. Gentlemen, good morning. Happy New Year. It's wonderful to see your smiling faces.
I tell you what, Happy New Year, huh? It's just so good. It's so good on a Friday morning. Here's what I love. This show, you and I said, hey, let's do this show, the Leggy, right. and let's attack some modern issues and things like that. And it's like we walked into Shakey's buffet. I mean, 2021 is like, oh, hey, here, guys.
What content do you have? Give it a day or two.
Right.
Something's gonna pop up.
That's right. It's absolutely fantastic. Thanks for tuning in. 21.6 The Net. This is Bridging Civil Tension. Of course, this guy right over here is author, entrepreneur, great guy, Phil Wallace. Welcome, brother. Welcome back. Yeah.
International man of mystery, Ken Jones.
That's right. That's right.
We make a tandem.
That's right. And Lisa, hi. Good morning. Glad to have you with us. Steph. Yep. I should, right? After each show, I should do an outfit change. However, I don't do that.
Shows the hustle. I like it.
We don't quite have the wardrobe budget just yet. So
Not quite yet. Not quite yet. So can I read a quote? Can we start out by reading a quote?
Yes.
This is in quotations. What transpired yesterday was tragic and sickening. While I have consistently condemned political violence on both sides of the aisle, specifically violence directed at law enforcement, we now see some supporters of the president using violence as a means to achieve political ends.
Right.
This is unacceptable. These violent actions are unconscionable, and I implore the president and all elected officials to strongly condemn the violence that took place yesterday. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, takes the safety and security of all Americans very seriously. It's at the core of our mission to defend our homeland. Any appearance of inciting violence by an elected official goes against who we are as Americans. Every American is guaranteed the right to peacefully protest, but once those protests become violent, we should enforce our laws and bring those responsible to justice, regardless of political motivations. After a challenging and saddening 2020, it's time for every American to respect each other and the rule of law in 2021. I will remain in my position until the end of the administration to ensure the department's focus remains on serious threats facing our country and an orderly transition to President-elect Biden's Department of Homeland Security team. And that is from our good friend, the Director of Homeland Security. What's his name? Wolf or something, I think.
Yes, Wolf or something.
Yeah, I don't know. His last name is Wolf. Hey, Tim, good morning.
Morning, Tim.
So really, Phil said, hey, let's talk about the Capitol bum rush. And I'm like, why? What, did something happen in the Capitol?
A couple mishaps and misunderstandings.
Just a few, right?
Tension was raised on both sides.
So the interesting thing, I think, is the interesting thing with the play on the U.S. Capitol building, I think, is a great illusion. Okay. I love sleight of hand. I said that earlier today on a show. I love card tricks and sleight of hand.
Right.
It just fascinates me because my mind doesn't move that fast. And I'm like, how did the quarter come out of my ear? Right. What? But I've never been a fan of making the Statue of Liberty disappear, or I'm sure the ladies out in Vegas don't get sawn in half actually 2 times a day. It's an illusion. Right. And I think that the master of puppets is pulling strings and making things look very tension filled.
Okay.
Right. And hey, Gary, how are you, man? Happy New Year from Singapore. And
my mom.
Yeah, she's always here.
Hi, lady.
Love her. That's it.
Happy New Year, lady.
So, to me, Homeland Security, dropped the ball. dropped the ball. Didn't even pick the ball up and run. Or was Homeland Security there allowing it to happen?
Because the reports were like that it was very little security after an announcement of there may be something on the grounds. And
For
if
days.
you look at the people who got through, some of them, I don't see them in a boxing match winning against trained National Guards when a threat has been called against the Capitol building.
The Capitol building. Right. So, I mean, little Jimmy can be like, I'm going to take a gun into the school and shoot everybody in an Instagram post, and his house is surrounded by SWAT, and you're not going to school.
You're not going anywhere for that. No.
Right.
Rightfully so.
And yet on public forums,
We announce and
right?
coordinate. We'll pick sandwiches up at 1, and then we'll be here to
right.
storm the. How?
And then CNN on January 1st said, hey, there's going to be a show on the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
A show? I mean, literally, that's what they said. CNN.
Mm-hmm.
So we know there's a threat. The president doesn't incite. Says, hey, go there and peacefully protest, right?
Right.
Doesn't call out for violence. He very, very articulated how he said it. Didn't incite violence.
Watched a
But
video of officers moving gates and waving people in,
yes,
taking selfies with them.
yes, it was like please, everybody. The Rolling Stones are here. No pushing. We'll open the doors in 15 minutes.
I did like how they kept making fun of that they stayed within the velvet ropes. They got on the inside.
Why?
So you broke windows, you did all this, but you stayed inside the ropes once you got in.
You as a person, to the millions of people listening right now, and Pete will give us a number on how many people are listening live right now. But you as a person have to start to wake up and get mad at what the government is doing and what they're allowing to do and the hate that they're allowing to spread and the tension that they're allowing to hold, right? I don't get it. I watch this and I go, you have to be kidding me.
Right.
You have to be kidding me. Right.
So, I mean,
but let's set up this camera behind the noose.
I did
to get this angle.
There was one that said that Trump told them they have to take back freedom with force and things like that. But if that is the case, like what we were saying is, if you understand that there's going to be this announcement on the Capitol, why was it this easy? Why was it just a lay down? Why are we opening gates and waving people in if it's this horrible surprise? And then we got to put.
How did guns get in there?
So then we got to define peaceful, because if it's peaceful, why were there guns?
Right.
And then with the guns, how do people die?
Right.
What, where I am on this. At what point is it just as bad as what we complain about?
Well, exactly. And then what we have to stop doing is comparing this to any of the Black Lives Matters protests. And here's why. This was orchestrated. I think.
What was it, yesterday? Thursday?
Yeah.
That just 10,000 people decided to gather on a Thursday, coincidentally, just outside at the same time. Unlikely.
Yeah, Lisa says it great there. I have to take my jewelry off to get into the courthouse here.
We're able to get guns into the Capitol. How? So if it's coordinated, if it's breaking into a place of employment,
mm-hmm.
if violence is happening, if things are being taken, we're showing a lot of the same symptoms that we were upset about.
Right.
And that we disapproved of.
So, and this is what I want people to get upset about, right? The Homeland Security leads the third largest department of the United States government,
right?
With a workforce of 229,000 employees and 22 components, including the TSA, Customs and Border Protection,
Right.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service, FEMA, the Coast Guard, Secret Service, Federal Law Enforcement, Training Centers, the National Protection and Programs Directorate, and the Science and Technology Directorate. Now, under Homeland Security Secretary is what they're called.
Right.
Department of Homeland Security is responsible for counterterrorism, cybersecurity, aviation security, border security, port security, maritime security, administration and enforcement of our immigration laws, protection of our national leaders.
Right.
Well, let's just pause for a second.
Someone's
Protection of our national leaders. You knew it was on mainstream media. It was on several social platforms.
Right.
That this was going to happen. And where was it going to happen? It was going to happen where all of our nation's leaders happen to be.
us to spend all that money to make sure that other terrorist groups can't reach us, and to see Tom from up the block waltz in to the Capitol building. How?
With a gun.
If we can't show that we can protect our own from our own, what are we sending on a national level, message wise, of how easy we are to just pick apart?
Tim Santos, good morning, man. Tim says
Javier said what's up too.
Kenosha, Wisconsin had the National Guard present for days prior to the announcement of charges were being filed against the officers involved with Jacob Blake, and they did. Then a possible threat to our nation's capital, where our president and the National Guard strolls in hours after the insurrection began. Doesn't make sense, or maybe it actually does.
I was actually going to make that point. How did they get to Wisconsin before they got up the street?
Well, they were all in Wisconsin.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Yeah.
They were
We're on a cheese tour, so we were
they were at the Mars Cheese Castle off of 94.
You don't know how good that stuff is.
Yeah, it is good, especially with little, those little smoky beef sticks. So then I watch social media and the hatred come out,
right.
and it's understandable. I get it. And there were some people saying, oh, hey, we live in two different Americas. If you want to stretch it that way, and I think that's what the government wants you to do, right? But this, here's a question that I would ask that Pete and I talked about a little bit is, why is it that police brutality or any type of event that has taken a black person's life, why is that always on this type of camera, your cell phone? However, this kind of stuff is always got the major networks there.
Right.
It's like a parade, right? So when these white supremacist groups, these white people, come in and clash, why is it that the mainstream media is always there for those, yet nothing happens? And anything that happens to a minority is done, holding
we had to do that because the national feedback was that it wasn't believable. We would just give you stories.
Right.
So we have that. But at the same time, why is it that with that coverage, then it's not as bad, even though similar symptoms were displayed?
Sure.
We back the blue. Cool. Now here are these guys fighting, punching, beating up those same police officers while carrying a back the blue flag, which I thought was anyway. So you're gonna fight.
You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, Jethro.
Hit him in the back. That's what it means.
So we're fighting the same police officers that we backed when they were brutalizing black people.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad when this guy does it because he's got a hat on. It says what I believe.
Right.
And so in the name of injustice, which it's so crazy because the whole thing was they don't think that it's fair the way the election went. Okay, so unfairness is now justifiable for storming the Capitol, breaking and entering, looting, and murder.
And murder now. Actually, just this morning, one of the police officers.
They didn't take anything.
They did.
What did they take?
They took stuff out of offices.
They took the podium.
They took the podium, but they took things out of the Capitol building.
So
So
you got
that's
walking
not,
around the
that's
podium.
yeah. That's why it's a shared picture. But even if I go into a representative's office and I take their mail, you're not supposed to take mail of any person.
Oh, that's federal offense.
That's a federal offense.
Yeah. Okay. All
But
right.
this guy
All right.
can do it and then go to his hotel room and broadcast live with no fear that the police are coming from.
Not the Secret Service.
Not the
That's
Secret
not the
Service.
FBI.
I'm
Rolling
gonna
it.
go, bro. Yeah, so we were here and then we came to the left and just give all the information what we just did illegally
So
because we don't like fairness. But the thing is, on my side and trying to stay in the middle, I want to be sympathetic. But when one side said, when one side said, we don't think that this country is doing things fair, they were told, well, this country is fair and they wouldn't cheat you. Okay. So now that you feel you were cheated, now it's okay for you to do the same things you were complaining about. It's hard for someone to be sympathetic about that.
No.
It's the same thing.
Right.
I mean, one side did it first. Now the other side says, okay, we're going to do it. Although Bubba does it a little differently than everybody else.
Right.
Everybody else kind of, okay. If you want to look at it that way,
Justin's good, dude.
if you want to look at it that way, everybody else over the summer, they went downtown. They burned some buildings. They flipped some cars. They killed a few folk in the street. They stole a few big screen TVs.
What would happen if they went to the Capitol, though?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Bubba don't waste time going downtown.
Bubba does not. Because
Bubba,
Bubba gets heard when he says anything.
Bubba gets up and goes to the Capitol because Bubba owns the damn building. It's we the people own that shit.
Right.
They are all there because we let them be there. They serve at the pleasure of we the people. Bubba decided to show up and set those folks straight because they weren't doing their job. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, according to Bubba.
Right.
So, Bubba don't screw around. He's not wasting time downtown. Screw downtown. That's not where the shit's happening. Bubba goes right to the castle. The villagers said, enough of this shit. We're storming the castle, boys.
I'm with you.
Get the pitchforks.
All I'm saying is
Get
if Jamal didn't waste time and Jamal went to the Capitol like that to break and entering and steal things
Okay.
and beat up police officers.
Now,
Okay, now hold on.
let's take a look, though. Go ahead, Ken. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Melissa says they stole from Nancy. If you're talking about Nancy Pelosi, how are you on a first name basis with her? That's great, Melissa. I'm teasing you because I love Melissa. They broke windows and had guns. They are people bragging about stealing from the Capitol. Yes, they would never have. To your point, Tim says they'd never had made it to the steps, right, of the Capitol, and they'd be shot. Civil war would have happened. Bubba went to the source rather than destroying the asset. Now, here, and let me help everybody. And this is my opinion. Okay. This is my 51-year-old white guy opinion. Bubba opened his mail and got a nice invitation to come down to the Capitol building and be part of this.
Why you don't say, hey, Myrtle, guess where we going this weekend?
Jamal, this summer, did not get an invitation from Target to go in and say, hey, for the next 15 minutes, everything's free. Okay. Now, and that's why I'm saying we can't compare the two because they're two totally different things. Because Bubba said, please come on down. Now, again, this is Homeland. Where's Homeland Security in all this? Oh, they're holding the doors open.
Yeah.
They're the ones sending out the invitations, right?
They
And-
moved the gates aside.
and-
They
and I would
held open
agree.
the doors, and they ushered people between the black velvet ropes.
And I would agree.
Remarkably
Jamal,
orderly.
Black Lives Matter shows up pissed off. Yep, that's tear gas, beanbags, bullets, tanks. Absolutely. The doors aren't being held open for them.
Even if it's just to have the same conversation that Bubba wanted to have.
Right. And
For, I think, a more serious reason than just, I don't like the way the election went. But this was my
and,
34-year-old
and,
opinion.
and I will tell and I've shared this out there, right? Yeah, right. I mean,
She's saying that
yeah.
it wouldn't happen that way. would it?
right. Yeah, no, not to black and white. No, they wouldn't, they didn't get the invite. Right?
You're not allowed to have a voice.
That's correct. They didn't get the invite, right? So there were people of color there. There were,
Mhm.
right? We could see pictures. There were people of color there.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But
They didn't have the buffalo hat, though. That
They
was
did not.
key.
they
The
didn't-
buffalo hat was important in this event.
most of them didn't get in.
I want to go to the Capitol
The Fred
to be heard
Flintstone.
and taken serious. What should I wear?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that the guy who went down to talk to these innocent people with a buffalo outfit was there to talk about how he felt, bro?
No. Well, I think
And-
that conveyed his feelings. If I'm
Mm.
going somewhere with a buffalo hat on, I think people can pretty much tell how
I
I'm
just
feeling.
think that the people who are doing their job at the Capitol are innocent people too, employees.
Yeah.
So if we have a problem with destroying the innocent,
Yeah.
that should apply to all categories, and it should be just as bad when it happens in the Capitol as it happens in Target.
Well, absolutely. And the people, and trust me, facial recognition, it happens. And again, where's Homeland Security? Because I think the president passed something that says, hey, you do damage to a public building or a statue, it's 10 years automatic, right? I think that passed. I think something like that. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure our government has the ability to take a look at facial recognition of everyone who was there that broke in and broke the law, who became unpeaceful, and those people should all be prosecuted.
Well, he said that they're good people, and he loves
They
them.
should all be prosecuted,
He said he loves them,
right?
special people, and we love you.
And hey, you can't be mad at President Trump because he did say he will transition peacefully. That's like punching the priest in the face and then asking for forgiveness.
Well, and to address
Forgive me, Father.
address this question here. This is not actually a podcast. This is a radio show. You're
That's
listening
right.
live and watching live to 216thenet.com. Real life internet radio. There you go.
Yeah, we're live right now, baby.
9 a.m. Central on Fridays. This is
Said he was
Bridging-
a Buffalo soldier,
Bridging
dreadlock
Civil Tension with
Rasta
Phil
Buffalo
Wallace and Ken
soldier
Jones.
in the heart of America. Good Lord. And we do have weird people for sure. But my frustration is us as an audience and how we bought into this garbage and how it's infuriated so many people, and not infuriated people at government and what's happening and how they're trying to do this, but rather I'm now mad at you because you're a Democrat. I'm now mad at you because you're a Republican. You're a Trump. You're a Chumpster. Oh, you're a Biden sniffing baby girl.
Right.
You know, you're like, what is going on? It is.
It is.
I'm not supposed to be mad at you.
Right.
We should be mad at Homeland Security. We should be mad at the person who orchestrated this, probably the president.
You say freedom will be taken in blood. How do you, and you make that announcement that freedom will be taken in blood. How do you expect your supporters to respond to that?
Right.
It's not going to be peacefully.
It's not. But, and he was very calculated in what he said, right?
Of course.
Because I didn't say anything about being violent.
Not at
Freedom
all.
is taken in blood.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you're right. Sal, you're right. Facebook has the ability to profile. They should have the ability to provide Facebook for that's right. Now, here's listen, if you're upset with voting, American Idol can get 32 million votes in a commercial break. Why does it take 2 months for us to figure out who a president is?
Yeah, I'm saying.
It should be done, and it should be just as efficient as American Idol. But again,
That's correct.
We were told that America does no sleight of hand, that America isn't up to any tricks, that America is fair, and as long as you work hard and keep your nose to the grindstone, everything will be fair. And then 90 days later, the same country and the same people that you said weren't up to any good 90 days prior, you're now saying that they are now capable of this injustice to you, and we should listen and show compassion and now believe that the people that you told me were incapable, passionately incapable of doing such things to their own people, will now trick you guys for votes. You just told me for a long time that all summer they were trustworthy good Samaritans. Remember, they wouldn't do this to us. Right. We're a team. We're all Americans, guys. It doesn't matter black or white. Okay, it doesn't matter Democrat, Republic. They're the same team.
They said that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So why now for your benefit is this country now capable of injustice? Please explain that to me.
Help me out.
Make it make sense.
Help me out.
It's always been that way.
That's right.
We know that, but from what in the comment section on a lot of these posts. Go back to the summertime. It was a lot of, no, this is our government. They're fair. Oh my gosh, guys, stop. Stop whining. So someone's killed because of the color of their skin, but you don't like the way the votes went. This is whining, but that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I have said, and I will continue to say, prove to me in any presidential election that there wasn't fraud. Now, Time magazine back in 2018 did an article about just that, and because here in America so much of the process is driven by human beings, there's always going to be mistakes, there's always going to be fraud.
Right.
Kent Jones Jr. may show up to vote and Kent Jones is dead, and I, being a human being, mark the wrong Kent Jones. Well, now you just have a dead Kent Jones who voted.
Right.
Right. And those things happen. Anytime you're dealing with human beings, there's always going to be mistakes and or fraud. Not to the extent that President Trump would like you to believe, perhaps. Right. And come on, people. I just want to reach out and slap everybody. Right. But seriously, this is the way it's been done. What about 2000, right? When Bush and Gore were so close, and what did Gore do?
Won.
Hey,
and then it was re-election or
recount. And he's like, all right, you know what? I concede. That's what you're supposed to do as an American, right? That's what you're supposed to do. And I said it on It's Your Move, which airs Mondays at 6:15, is that the most powerful man in the free world wants to prove something. It can get proven rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Most powerful man in the free world wants somebody to disappear. They would never know.
Right.
I want you to understand that. But the most powerful man in the world couldn't come up with evidence for 45 days.
62 times, something like that.
Right.
I heard 62 times it went to retrial.
Right. Could not come up with evidence to prove voter fraud. Yet, a lot of the little worker bees still were raising that flag, right? And so somewhere along the way, we here in America, you said, man, we live in a weird country. I think a lot of us has lost our common sense. A lot of us, right? I like what Kristen says. How they just walked out of the Capitol as easy as they walked in says a lot. You're absolutely right. Lock it down. Everybody's in there. Handcuff them. You're going into the hoo-ha, right?
Turn the goat.
The Hooskow. That's what it was.
Well, when you're there via